Today we are in the Western Blotting Room in the Molecular Biochemistry Core, and I'm showing you the ezWest Lite. The ezWest Lite is a really great way to automatically block and stain and wash your membranes for Western blot. The power switch is on the back here, and what we'll see is that there's this side panel that opens up, and what we're going to do is we're going to put our primary, our secondary, and our blocking buffer in these tubes. And then there's a variety of protocols. If we go to method, there's actually this handy little stylus. If we go to method, you can see there's some different methods here. So method 1 is the standard method. Method 2 is a quicker method. Method 3 is a method that has a longer primary antibody step if you were going to run it overnight. Method 4, I believe I have set up as a secondary only step. So if you did your primary the traditional way overnight, you could then put it into the ezWest Lite and have it do the washing and the secondary antibody steps and the washing steps for you if you just had your membrane in the cold room overnight with the primary antibody. But for most applications, even the 3 or the 5 hour method will work. Those methods give you 1 or 2 hours with the primary antibody incubating, which, although it is not overnight, is typically enough to get a decent signal out of your Western blot. So when you're ready, you can go in this drawer below the ezWest, and you'll see that there are these cassettes. We want the membrane cassette first. You can get this opened up. So here's the ezWest cassette. You can follow the quick start guide that's on the counter. We will open this up by loosening this handle. And then you can see that you put the high molecular weight side, or you put the high molecular weight side lining up with this line, and the low molecular weight side lined up with that line. Grab our membrane using tweezers. You refer to our kaleidoscope ladder, which is on the fridge. And remember that this side is the heavy side. And orient this correctly. You want to make sure that whatever your membrane is, you can see mine is not doing a perfect job right now. So I'm actually going to cut this real quick because the membrane is going over this gasket. It's slightly oversized, so I'm going to cut this down and I'll be right back. So once that's open, you can just line up the 4 prongs with the back of the cassette. And you don't necessarily need to save the IDs. And then we go back to our protocol. So I'm on method 1, which is sort of the longer protocol that doesn't have an overnight primary step. So sort of our standard protocol that we have set up. You can close this door. It runs with this open, but it will keep light from being on your membrane, especially when the secondary is being applied. And then over here, we will add our solutions. So I'm gonna just add those really fast in the primary, secondary, and blocking buffer tubes. So we have one of my solution tubes here. The volume should be 10 milliliters. What we're going to do is, this is the secondary antibody. So I'm gonna grab the blue sort of feeder and place it in the tube like this. And you can see now that little straw goes down into the bottom of the solution. And then we go into the machine and we lift the lid, this one-handed. And then that tip goes into a gasket on the lid of the feeder. Make sure that it goes through and sits flat. And now the machine can draw liquid from that tube. So I'm going to do that for my blocking buffer, and then we can continue. So I've loaded all my solutions. I can close this door. Because I'm paranoid, once this starts, I'm going to sort of block this side because for whatever reason they've left this open to the light. So I don't want my secondary antibody to be exposed to the light the whole time this is running. So I'll cover this. Back here we have a waste bottle, which should be have plenty of room left in it. The core staff will keep that empty. And then this is the wash buffer bottle. You can assume that most things in this room, like these bottles, which are marked, are PBS based. In this protocol, we needed to use TBS because we were looking at a phosphorylated epitope. So you'll note that the buffer bottle is marked, I can contain TBS. So make sure if you're switching into TBS or you need TBS, you look out for things that are marked that way, because most things we have set up are in PBS. But we can go to our protocol. You can check all your steps, make sure they look correct, and hit start. And then you can check the volumes. We put 10 into the blocking primary and secondary, and then the wash bottle is full, so there's definitely 100 milliliters in there. The total capacity is 500 in that wash buffer bottle, so we can hit OK. And then I can show you, I'm going to close this trap door. We can actually watch, it's going to start pumping in liquid. So you can see the liquid starting to come up. This is the blocking buffer. And what you really want to watch out for is you want to make sure that this is filling evenly. Sometimes if you run this and there's weird bubbles or it's like not filling or it's having trouble, you may have to adjust your spacer or your membrane, because you want to make sure that the chamber fills evenly with the liquid, so that your membrane is all covered. Okay, so now we're here at the end, sometime later, and we can take our stylus and hit finish. And then you'll see it says system not cleaned. Clean the system now. We want to wait to hit OK. So before we do that, we can remove this cassette and open it up. And we'll have our membrane here. Once you have removed your membrane, you can take this over to the sink and give it a rinse with DI water. And also make sure you find your spacer that was inside the cassette and give that a rinse as well, and you can leave it to dry. When we come back to the machine, we look on the side, you can see that the left two tubes, which is the primary and secondary antibody, have been recovered. So I'm going to take those and put those back in the fridge. Now that I've moved my solutions over, I'm going to go back into this drawer and find one of these that says cleaning cassette, and take this out. And I'm going to take it, open the door, and place the cleaning cassette in. And then we can hit OK to go towards the cleaning step. And then this is important, pay attention to the volumes. So there needs to be 100 milliliters in the wash, which there is, because that's been full. And then we need to add 20 milliliters of our wash buffer to our blocking buffer tube as well. And then the primary and secondary can just be empty tubes. So what I'm gonna do is, we have these blank tubes that were in the machine when you first opened it. You can put these back into the machine as placeholders, and you can put the spouts back into them. And then whichever one you put in the blocking buffer spot, you can put a wash buffer from one of these bottles into your blocking container, and use that to clean the machine. So now I've gone and replaced those blank tubes, and the blocking buffer tube has 20 milliliters of the buffer in it, and the cleaning cassette is in. So now we can hit OK, and hit OK again to start the cleaning. So it's all cleaned up. I just wanted to show you one more thing, which is how to adjust methods if you have to. So again, here we have our normal method, our slightly faster method, the one that has an overnight primary, and this one is set up for just to only do a secondary step. But you could modify this if you had to do something different. So what you can do when you click on these steps is click whether it's a wash, blocking, primary, or secondary. How many cycles? So for a wash, you usually have 3 cycles. set the time, and then the speed for washes can be normal. When you do the antibodies, typically these will only be one cycle. You can do for a longer period of time, slow speed, and recovery selected. So these two things together will make sure that your antibody is, once it's done being loaded into the cassette and the step has taken place, it can be removed and put back into the tube. So let us know if you need help adjusting these, and we'd be happy to help you out.